Hello YouTube, MCN here again, and I've finally seen the movie. It's been a while since I saw it actually. It wasn't just recently that I saw the movie. I just didn't get around to recording earlier. But long story short, it was kind of what I expected. I mean, they set out to make a fun movie, and it was a fun movie. It was definitely a fun movie, but it wasn't, outside of the fight, it wasn't impressive to me. Now, let's get into the specifics here. Obviously, I don't know anyone who liked the idea that Broly was mad at Goku for crying next to him as a baby, but I've heard some people say that people, I don't know why, but some people on social media and YouTube and other places have all thought that one of the things people liked about the original story was that. I've never heard anyone like that. That was the stupidest thing from the old movie. However, I do like that even though there was carryover of King Vegeta's jealousy about Broly as a baby being so strong, the one thing it's a little bit dark, but I kind of like the fact that in the original, he decided, no, I'm going to kill him. I'm going to stab this baby, and that'll be that. Um, and that was pretty intense back in the movie. Here, I do like the idea of him sending him off, but it's just something I miss. The other thing I wanted to say, Saiyan culture, the way they present it in the new movie, it seems more like they're going for a realistic approach, or not, maybe not realistic, but more close to what Earth humans are like, closer to our own reality in terms of culture. Having people do their jobs and the soldiers not being bloodthirsty, but more just they're soldiers. Whether they question what they're doing or not is a story for another time, I guess. But there's pros and cons to this way of going about Saiyan culture. The pro is we see Bardock does care about his son more than he did back in the old days. In the old days, Saiyans, from what we were shown, unless you were royalty, they didn't care about you if you were their child or not. It was just you are you are a tool for us to use, and we will use you. But now, with this more realistic reality approach to Saiyan culture, having Bardock care about his son and having Gine care, it makes sense. It's nice. Now I don't like that Goku is aged up, because of whole Dragon Ball Minus storyline. But either way, it's still a nice idea to make it a more realistic culture. The one problem I have with this though is the fact that Bardock is the only person that shoots a blast at Frieza during that scene where Frieza destroys the planet. He should have been one of many Saiyan soldiers. He was just an average soldier. He wasn't anything special. But as that soldier, he should have there should have been other soldiers from Planet Vegeta that also just threw up one last blast to hopefully think that they could possibly change the tide of the battle. And the only reason that's there is because of Dragon Ball, of the original father of Goku, Bardock, the father of Goku TV special. If that hadn't happened in that TV special, it wouldn't be in the movie. So it felt out of place in the new DBS movie. And then the other thing is, I feel like it wouldn't be such a it would be pretty realistic to expect that other Saiyans sent their sons and daughters away on pods as well. So I wouldn't be super surprised if we saw some more Universe 7 Saiyans that escaped the wrath of Planet Vegeta. So let's talk about the Shintani art style, because that's a topic everyone's wanting to discuss. Everyone says the movie looks gorgeous. It's the best Dragon Ball has looked ever, or in a long time, or whatever. I personally don't think the Shintani art style is that great. It works on some characters. I think it worked on Vegeta really well. I think it worked for Piccolo a bit, and Frieza a bit. I did not like the way it looked on Goku, and I did not like the way it looked on some of the other surrounding characters. It it was just too fluid. It was too it wasn't that the animation was too fluid. It was more so that the art style was too bubbly. It felt like there was too much curviness. It just wasn't. I don't know if it was unfamiliarity is the reason I didn't like it, or the fact that I just truly didn't like it, but it wasn't all that great. There was too many scenes where that, and there was like only two scenes, but in a Dragon Ball Z movie, I think there's too many scenes where we're only focusing on the characters on screen, and once again, you can't see their faces, you can't see their mouths, their noses, their eyes, ears. There's like no features on their face, and I hate to do this, but it's honestly similar to when Episode 5 of Dragon Ball Super first aired, and Beerus was dodging Goku's punches, and you could see what two. Even then, you could at least see two dots on his face for eyes, even though the animation was terrible and the art was terrible. So, I don't really like that part of Shintani's art style. But even when it does look good, it just looks odd. It looks I guess the difference makes me feel uncomfortable, and I didn't love it. I didn't love it. I personally have always liked the more angular look, especially the scenes. I know there was some uproar about the difference in scenes between Shintani's art style for the fighting versus Takahashi's art style, and I felt like Takahashi's art style not only fit the scenes well, but they didn't take away from the scenes at all. They made it feel more enhanced. They enhanced those action scenes to let me know this is serious. And those were some of the best looking scenes in the movie to me. My favorite part, besides the comedy, was the moments where Goku and Broly and Vegeta and Broly were separately fighting. Once they became Gogeta, it kind of slowed down for me. It was just a little bit boring. In fact, as soon as they dropped Broly off on Frieza and Frieza was getting rocked for an hour, that after that the movie just kind of became more of like what I was expecting. And overall, I will say like it was an enjoyable experience. Yes, it was, but it it just still had that feel of Dragon Ball Super to me, and not Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, and even GT. I mean, I've I've enjoyed all three of those series more than Dragon Ball Super, so it still has some of the problems I feel about Dragon Ball Super. Um, one of those things being just unexplained power ups. Now, Goku and Vegeta, we know they've been training for years, decades, whatever. Broly, yes, he's the legendary Super Saiyan, or I guess no, we're not even calling him that anymore. Full power Super Saiyan. So, yeah, he's full power Super Saiyan or whatever. But why didn't they at least talk about why he has some of this latent ability? If they even just kind of mentioned it a little bit more, it would have been easier to swallow the fact that he was getting these huge power ups so quickly. It's just one of those things that Super likes to do a lot and kind of annoying. But I mean, it is what it is at this point. I mean, that's Dragon Ball in a nutshell at this point. And yes, before anyone tries to comment, yes, it has happened in Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball GT. It happens in all the series, but it just happens so much more now than it did before. So much more. So, yeah. Now, in terms of Paragus being so much more vindictive this time, I kind of like how he was blinded by his hatred. It made for me feeling very uncomfortable about how he treated Broly, because at first it seemed like he didn't abuse him, but then that scene where he shocks Broly and Broly just drops, that's a bad feeling scene. Like that is not a scene that makes you feel good. It's certainly one of those one of those things that the change wasn't drastic because he was still somewhat abusive to Broly, but the only difference is, Broly being kind-hearted and pure-hearted and nice makes it even worse to watch. And that's the other thing. That's the other change I wanted to speak about. Broly's character being different. Now, I do like the idea of a nice, kind-hearted Broly, and I do like that we saw so much more of him in base, do anything in base. But I will say the legendary Super Saiyan Broly from 1993, the original Broly movie, and I'm not talking about the Second Coming or the Sludge Monster movie, Bio Broly. I do have enjoyments with that movie. It's not. I don't think it's as terrible as people say it is. Honestly, it might be just due to the hype that it got such a bad rap. People hyping it up as the best of Dragon Ball, even though it's really not. It's certainly not the best, but it's still enjoyable. And the difference here, I'm not saying I don't like the difference. I do kind of like a nice Broly, but I do also appreciate a monstrous Broly. A Broly that's not just out of control for the sake of he's got some uncontrollable power, but a Broly that's out of control and also murderous. And that's something I truly liked about the old Broly. A true freak. Yeah. Unfortunately, we didn't get the devil quote, but that's fine, I guess. Leave that in the past, right? So yeah, I mean the new Broly's design with Super Saiyan and his green form, I guess you call it Super Saiyan Full Power. I mean, it looks kind of nice, I guess. I don't really like the pelt that he wears. I like the reason he likes the pelt, but I don't really love the pelt. I think the old Broly looks cooler, sounds like a more fun idea, but I don't know. It's just different. It's different, and then the whole thing with him being like Ozaru but not transformed, where it's like almost like he's a Super Saiyan 4 almost, which is very annoying. I don't like the idea of Super Saiyan 4 being repurposed for Broly per se, but I mean it is what it is. It was interesting. It was an interesting idea, and it was implemented differently. Overall, I would say it was a 6 out of 10 for me. It was definitely an above average experience, especially going to the theaters and seeing this with friends, but it was still Dragon Ball Super. It still didn't deliver on certain things that I wanted it to deliver on, and since like half the movie is the fight, I mean, the comedy is there, the story is better, question mark? Like I would say the backstory for specifically Broly is better, but I don't know if I would say the whole entire movie is that much better than the old days. I mean, that whole scene where they go into that other dimension, like it looked cool. I actually see this is the thing. I feel like I am one of the only people that actually like the CGI moments. That was good CGI to me, but I will say I thought it was stupid that it happened in the first place though. It should have never been a part of the movie. It had no place in the movie to be there. It had nothing to do with anything. It's like they just looked at the Tenkaichi 1 opening and were like, that looks cool, let's do that. So, yeah, I didn't really love the whole movie, and there were certainly a lot of parts that I felt were better from older movies. The funny thing is, if you look at the original Bardock, the Father of Goku TV special, the original Broly movie, and the original Super Janemba movie, where Gogeta first pops out, if you look at the different aspects that it incorporates into the one Dragon Ball Super Broly movie, I would say the Bardock movie is done better. The Gogeta movie is probably not as good as it is here because you get to see way more of Gogeta and him just going insane, and then you also get to see with the Broly part. I think the Broly part is kind of half and half with me because there's definitely things that they improved on that were just so stupid from the original, but there's also some things that were in the original that were just really good. So kind of half and half there. So I'll give it a 6 out of 10 and just leave it at that. But I think that's everything that the movie had to offer that was covered. Just kind of going through. Oh, two more things that I was thinking about with this movie is the lack of the cast of characters was just a bit odd. Like it wasn't odd, but it was just a bit frustrating. Like I'm not saying that every character that was in Resurrection F needed to be in this movie, but I just wish that some other characters could have been present. Like there was very few characters. And then Shilai and Lemo. I liked Shilai and Lemo, but everyone's saying that Broly has a new girlfriend with Shilai. The way she talked about him in the movie, how she said he's just a sad, alone kid, it more so sounded like she was trying to be motherly. It did not sound like she was trying to come off as a girlfriend. And honestly, if anyone was going to be a girlfriend, Shilai would probably be a girlfriend to Lemo, the way they were looking at each other at the end of the movie. And then also the fact that Vegeta was way more scared to fight Broly in the original versus here, where he was just all about the fight. I mean, I'd say that's just the fact that he's not the legendary Super Saiyan in the new movie. He doesn't have any reason to have that respect, and that's one thing I loved about the original movie. He had respect for the legendary Super Saiyan. He always had respect for his Saiyan heritage, even though he didn't care about the Saiyans specifically. He had respect for his heritage because he had pride in it, and him not caring about it here, it's not a problem. But I just don't get why people didn't understand why he wouldn't want to do something so crazy when he's literally the prince of Saiyans. So he's the one that should really know about things like the legendary Super Saiyan. So and then last thing, I know I keep adding things, but last thing, in terms of back onto the animation thing, I just didn't like how they did Frieza's tail. Like it looked so fat in some scenes, and that were just it was like fat towards the end of the tail, which is like that doesn't even look right. And then it also looked like it was having a seizure at some moments. It was like wiggling vigorously to the point that it was like kind of distracting, and it looked like a tentacle, and it was kind of getting gross. So yeah, I didn't love uh, the movie. I really didn't like the I think for me the animation was the thing that I probably came away not liking the most. But overall, it was still a fun time, and yeah, I guess I can't wait to see what comes. I say I can't wait to see what comes next, but because I know it's Dragon Ball Super, I do feel a little apprehensive about saying something like that. I mean, let's be real here. Dragon Ball Super was so much of a disappointment for me. I don't know if I can say I can't wait to see what comes next, but I mean, it's still a series and a franchise that I love. So no matter what, I'm still gonna keep watching it and ingesting the media somehow, I guess, right? Until next time, guys. See you later.